Greetings, it's Brother Ravana Noon, back once again, discussing this time Necromantic Sorcery. Necromancy is a form of sorcery that I am very close to, very aligned to, and a very large part of my life. Necromancy is essentially sorcery or magic that utilizes the death current. The death current is a current that is kept alive and fed by recently deceased, dead flesh, blood, and bone beings who translate from this physical form into the afterlife or the next life. And that current of all the individuals who have deceased is kept alive and fed by these individuals. And this death current contains an abundant amount of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and a lot of mysteries. So to work with necromancy, you have to be able to, 1, put your fear aside of death. 2, put your fear aside of graveyards. 3, put your fear aside of spirits or demons. 4, be able to tap into your subconscious mind. And 5, get the ritual implements necessary to work necromancy. Essentially, when you do this, you are basically becoming an individual who is experiencing his or her own death. One of the ways to do this is self-initiation, where you basically create a ritual where you're experiencing death. Some of us, myself included, have walked different secret societies or organizations where the initiation was based upon death and resurrection. When you experience this act, this ritual act, it awakens certain psychic senses within you to be able to communicate the spirits. It awakens certain abilities within you to be able to tap into your own subconscious mind and to be able to awaken the death current within. There is a moment in life where we all will experience and taste death. There is no avoiding it. There is no avoiding it. There is no miraculous elixir that's going to give you immortality. Everybody faces death. It is a part of existence. Creation and destruction. This is a part of the creation of the universe. For the universe to be created, there had to be things that were brought into existence and other things had to cease to exist. This is everyday life. So in order to really work that, you have to be able to really deal with your fears of death. Why are you scared of death? Is it the completion of life and you not being able to or have reached the potential you saw for yourself? Is it the fact that you feel you'll be all alone and now your family is left behind mourning you and there's no one there to take care of them? Or is it the fact that you're just scared shitless because you don't know what happens next? It's possibly part of all of that. But you have to face those things to work necromancy. And the greatest way to face that is to tap in. And the greatest way to tap in is to create rituals. that allows you to communicate with spirits of the dead. When you work sorcery, any kind of sorcery, you always have ritual relics, or what is known as ritual tools. Some are more important than others, but in necromancy, you should have a ritual relic that you use specifically for necromantic sorcery. That could be a dagger. It could be a staff that's dedicated to the spirits of the dead. The more you use this relic, the more power it is imbued with, the more power you are able to manifest, and the more gateways you're able to open to speak with the spirits of the dead. Now, because I'm speaking about this, let me speak about the altar and what should be on that altar. First of all, everybody's altar is going to be different. And no one person's altar should be the same as anybody else's, because your own unique energy should be stamped on your altar. So you can create a altar with a table, a wooden table, or you can utilize what you feel is best. So make your altar out of hazel or oak wood. Is very prime to use. The oak tree has been used, especially in Europe, for a long time for necromancy. However, my ancestry goes more towards Africa and Native Americans, so I use more different woods or types of woods that can be found in those areas. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind also that your altar is a medium between you and the dead. So the more you work your sorcery in that altar, the more it becomes a gateway between the living and the dead. And that veil that is there between you two is slowly dissipating. As you create your altar, make sure that you purify that altar. You should purify your altar every few months anyways. Some people do it every week. Some people do it once a month. I tend to do it every 3 months. You purify your altar, consecrate the implements or tools on your altar every month, 2 months, 3 months, weeks, whatever. However it works for you, that's what you do. But specifically when you work a necromantic altar, you bring it through 3 stages. Death. First, determine what kind of altar you're going to use, the wood you're going to use. If when you choose that, then you basically make sure that you purify it. However you choose to do that. Some people use Florida water. Some people use holy water. Some people use certain essential oils. Whatever is beneficial for you is what you should do. You always make sure you personalize it. There is no one general way. Okay? Now, especially this is utilized in voodoo, palo, and things of that nature. Use rum. Rum is often used to communicate with the spirits of the dead, especially in more African traditional religions. I practiced those before, but I create my own shit now, so I still will use elements of African traditions, Native American traditions, whatever, to bring forth my workings but I'm not going to follow any one tradition in its dogmatic, narrow-minded views. Not happening, no more. But rum is great to offer to the dead and to open up the gateways. It's good to use either black or red candles or black or purple candles. When you use black or purple candles, you do realize you're utilizing the gay day. The gay day, which is the family of spirits in voodoo that are basically archetypes of the dead. Baum Samedi, Baron Samedi, Baron Criminal, Baron Cemetery, Baron Lacroix, so forth, so on. A great way to consecrate your tools that you'll use is bring them to the graveyard. Whatever graveyard you can find that is open after a certain time, after dark, utilize it. Go in there and consecrate your tools by taking graveyard dirt and rubbing it over them. This is imbuing those ritual tools you use with the graveyard energy of the death current. Rub it all over your tools. You can go there, you can light candles. Depends if you have access to these graveyards and whether they stop you or don't stop you from doing rituals. So be careful what you do, because some of that shit is illegal in certain states, certain cities, whatever the case. So if you do decide to create a small ritual to consecrate your tools, light 4 candles in the 4 directional points, north, south, east, west, contacting the spirits of the dead in all 4 directions. Now, as I said, you take the altar and you pour rum up over it. While you're pouring rum over it, you can speak to spirits of the dead and you can ask them to charge up your altar and the tools with the energy of the death current to bring forth the reality of death, the mystery and the knowledge of death into your ritual workings. Something else some people do, they take their athemi or anything else that they feel they want to charge up and they bury it. And they bury it underground. If you're able to do it in a graveyard, cool. But sometimes you may forget where you put it, or somebody may dig it up for you. So basically, once you do charge them up in a graveyard, you can bury them in your own backyard. They already have the energy of the death current. Bury them in your own backyard for a time being. Symbolically, many people do it for 3 days, 3 nights. Symbolic of birth, maturity, and death. When you're taking your relic or your theme or ritual tools, you can invoke the spirits of the dead. You can say whatever. You can say, spirits of the dead, hear me. I consecrate this tool to you, the spirits of the dead. I consecrate it and charge it with the death current. Allow me to do so, or you can command them. Make it so. I like to command. I don't give my fucking power to anything or anybody. I'm always in control. I'm the scientist in controlling the experiment. So I don't ask. I don't beg. I command. If you choose to beg, if you choose to ask and you're afraid of death, spirits of the dead, you're going to be afraid of living things too. Not me. I take control of my life. I take command. This is how it is. Up to you how you want to do it. So, this is different ways you could work this reality. Okay, so once you bury these tools, comes the resurrection part, where you raise up the tools on the third day. If you choose to use planetary movements, moon, things of that nature, that's great. It's not necessary, but it is something that can be done. Some people find it more effective, others don't. Once you raise up these tools, they have now been charged up, and they're ready for more work to be done for necromancy. So you should have an atheme. You should have a coffin. This coffin should be a nice size, and it should sit on your altar. Your altar should also contain images of death. A human skull. If you're not able to find a human skull, or can't afford one, then use a substitute skull, but charge it up. Charge up the skull as if it is a human skull. So you still would work it as if it's a real, because symbolically the representation of the skull represents the spirit that once housed that skull. So what it would represent to you, the skull represents the spirits of the dead. Even if it may not be an actual human skull, it still symbolically represents the spirits of the dead. So it still has potency and able to be utilized. Now, excuse me. Once you find the skull to your liking, I have quite a few skulls. One of my favorite skulls is a vampiric skull because I work with vampiric magic as well, or sorcery. And it symbolically represents the vampiric current or energy. But I have other skulls that represent human heads. And when you're ready, you can call out whatever spirit. If you have a specific spirit, or you keeping it more wide open and wanting to bring in any spirit, you can call out to have that spirit possess the skull, or basically put its death current energy within that skull. Some people choose to have a skull where the top comes off, and they utilize that skull as a chalice or a vessel to drink from. Some people use wine, some rum, some blood, or whatever they choose. That's their personal choice. But I use rum to consecrate my skull, and I cleanse my skull with flowed water every so often. So that is important. Now, if you choose to have archetypes, make sure they're graveyard deities or graveyard archetypes. Baum Samedi, Baum Lacroix, Maman Brigitte, Kali, Anubis or Ampu. You can utilize, these are just some that come off the top of my head. These are some that I work with exclusively. These are graveyard deities. They are synonymous with death. Much of the rituals taking place in a graveyard for sorcery purposes. So you can have those on your altar as well. So basically your altar should have symbols of the dead, a skull, a coffin, tombstones, whatever is necessary that you feel you're attracted to, that your subconscious mind is attracting to you, those symbols of death symbols, put it on your altar. I have a black cloth over my altar. Some choose to do that, others don't. Some keep it more natural, don't put nothing on there. Fine, it's whatever you like. But I feel that the black altar brings more of that dark energy. To me, opens up more of that death current connection. So that's what I utilize. You can also, like I said before with the other tools, you can take your skull into a graveyard to also charge it up. So make sure that you utilize the graveyard for a lot of your working. Something that's very interesting that a lot of people do not, I think, have not realized, because I don't hear it talked about too much, but you have to understand that when an individual passes, that Kundalini energy that we all have or house within our body, that energy is still found within the body. Well, not the body, still found within the bones of the body of the deceased. So the Kundalini energy is still alive within the bones. So if you can't find a skull, but you can find a different part of a bone, either from the arm, the leg, or something, it has that Kundalini energy in there, which is utilized in necromancy. So you can utilize these relics, these bones, and use it for different purposes. Divination. For some use it as a wand, some use it as a symbol. There's many things you can do. So it is important to understand that all of these tools that you see necromancers using all have a deep purpose behind it. And they all are necessary for essentially your work. Just going through my notes of things I want to share with y'all. Now, here's something interesting. When you work necromancy, you can utilize fetishes. They can be items, they can be marks, whatever the case. So if you're doing necromancy to, let's say, affect somebody, an enemy of yours, try to obtain a journal, a diary, a scrap from a pillow. Try to obtain a shirt, something, a photo, something that was associated that this individual touched or possessed. It's very important that if you're able to find that, please do. Because what happens is that you're able to create a firm link between you and that enemy of yours and tap into their unconscious mind. Now, if you knew this person really intimately or on a personal level, if you're able to obtain some way, somehow, skin follicle, lack of hair, if you were in an intimate level, you're able to obtain some semen or menstrual fluid or whatever the case, tears, whatever. This even grants you even more power over their unconscious and conscious mind. So you have to understand, when you work in necromantic sorcery, you could use it to destroy your enemies or affect people who are threatening you, whatever the case. But that's not the only workings. There's many different workings for necromancy. The thing is, you cannot be afraid when you come into sorcery or black magic and worry about, oh, am I affecting somebody, am I hurting somebody? Listen, your whole intention is not to intentionally harm somebody. But if somebody's threatening you or there's an enemy that's trying to destroy your life, you, by all means, should defend yourself and destroy them. Okay? Don't forget that. It's not like you're going intentionally out to just destroy motherfuckers and hurt them. That's not the purpose. The purpose is you can defend yourself when somebody's fucking with your life. You can fuck that person up. And by all right, you should fuck them up because your life is on the line. And all that compassion and divine love and all that shit goes out the door. Your life is being threatened. The life you know is being threatened. Utilize your powers of sorcery to take action. So that's just one of the ways you can work that. You could also utilize necromancy to heal somebody. I know it's strange and how strange it may sound to some people, but you can. Because some of the spirits of the dead, you can contact benevolent spirits of the dead who are willing to share that death current energy to imbue you with the power of energy and be able to utilize that to heal these individuals. So it all depends how you want to work this. So necromancy is a very potent and powerful form of sorcery and magic that can be utilized for many different purposes. But you're the one that determines how it will be used. You should not work any sorcery and be afraid of karma. Karma does not exist. And I know people are going to argue and get upset by that statement, but if you believe in karma, you might as well believe in God, Jesus, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, and all this other religious bullshit you've been raised with. Let me explain to you why I say that. If karma is so real, then please explain to me these powers that be that are these warmongers and these individuals that create constant havoc on this planet. Where's their karma? Because I see them still fucking up shit for generation after generation, whether it's the Bush's family, whoever. They fuck shit up for generation after generation. And nothing happens to them. That was a signal to me years ago. This karma shit is bullshit. When you really investigate it, karma was created by a high priest and the rulers that be to control the masses of the people and keep them in line so that they can rule their empire. Whether it was through government, or through religious purposes, through Catholic Church, or high priests and priestesses of different ancient cultures and civilizations. It was utilized to keep people afraid and scared. And you still are scared today as if something's going to happen to me because I did something to somebody and it's going to come back to me. If you believe it enough, your mind will create that reality to happen. It's not real. So, when you work something, you should have no guilt, remorse, or any of that shit. Work it effectively with passion and intent and watch it manifest. Otherwise than that, you're wasting your time if you're gonna have guilt and remorse and compassion. Oh, I'm wrong for doing this, because you just basically did it for nothing. There's no purpose for doing it. So understand this. Do not work any sorcery, especially necromantic sorcery, if you are a pussy or a wuss. You're defeating the purpose. It's just ridiculous. I hear so many people want work done and then they feel guilty about it. It's just bullshit, man. Don't do it. It's just the most stupidest, mundane thoughts I've ever heard from people. Cut the shit out, man. Cut it out. Now, you can't be afraid of the dark. That's another important thing that just came to my mind. You can't be afraid of the dark if you're working necromancy. This shit just would not work, man. I mean, most of necromancy takes place in the dark, in graveyards, things of that nature. If you're afraid of the dark, cut it out. The dark is where the real power is birthed from. That's where all life was birthed from, the dark. You've been lied to about the light, and light is right, light is good, and light is love, and light. But light is only about 7% of the universe. 92 to 93% of the universe is dark matter, dark energy. That is abundant darkness. So light only exists in 7% of the universe. Once this sun goes out, which it will burn out soon, it's complete darkness here. And most of life will be gone. So you'll experience the death current anyways, regardless what your religious belief is. The problem is that people are so scared of the dark that they can't even face themselves, because their darkness overwhelms them. It makes them scared. It makes them afraid of their very own nature. Can't be like that if you're really going to work this. You have to be able to face your fears of the dark. Because really what fears you're facing is the fear of yourself. That's what's real. So you have to start facing that reality about yourself. If you don't face that reality about yourself, you're basically lying to yourself again. So there's certain workings that you need to really take into account. You may not want to fuck with necromancy if you can't, 1, deal with fear, 2, deal with darkness, 3, deal with spirits or demons. Just not beneficial for you. You might as well leave that shit behind and not deal with it, period. So I've been asked before, why do you deal with necromancy? Well, I have various reasons, but one of the reasons is I have deceased relatives that I was very close to, and they started communicating with me shortly after death. And at first I was like, wait, where is this coming from? Am I really hearing them? Just like everybody else. But I started realizing that's one of the things that has been a part of my life. So I was able to speak with my deceased relatives and understand the power that came from that communication. And life after death did not seem so scary anymore. It did not seem so gloomy, because of the communication I received and what they shared. I realized there's a lot of power in death. So this is why I do it. I can't tell you why other people do it, but I can tell you why I do it. And you gotta really be able to want to work with dead currents, dead spirits. It's a very small group of people who really are truthfully necromancers and deal with necromantic sorcery. It's not a lot of people. There's some who will claim it, but that's more pageantry, and it's all about the looking nice and dressing up and all that shit, but that's not really what it is. So those individuals, in time, they fade away. They made their money, they made their loot, and now they're gone. And they're back to being fluffy religious fools. So necromancy is a real art form, sorcerous art form, that should be taken seriously and should be a daily part of your life. One day I'll show my altar, and you'll see that most of the implements on my altar are dedicated to the death current. Death helps you understand life. Life helps you understand death. that current that you flow between life and death, if you really are not afraid and confront and deal with everything in life and death, then what is there to fear going forward or forth? It makes you stronger and only makes you more prepared to face the reality of death. They didn't say fear will still not crop up, but it will make you more prepared for dealing with the reality of death. Now, one thing I want to mention, because some people do utilize planetary bodies when they work necromancy. Saturn is considered a very powerful planet for spirits of the dead, and a lot of times necromancers will align themselves with Saturn and the energy of Saturn to work necromancy. And Saturn is considered a gaseous planet, so a lot of times necromancers consider Saturn the home of spirits and where spirits will live. So understand that as well. It's all in how you choose to do that. Some people use the power of the moon a lot when they work with necromancy. And so a lot of the rituals they do are based upon the phases of the moon. That can also be advantageous if that's something you agree with or feel. As a sorcerer, though, I do not try to rely on anything that limits my power and potential, meaning whenever I feel something, that's when I do it. I don't wait for a certain time. I utilize it when I feel it. And when my spirit is passionate and has a strong purpose and intent behind it, that's when I work a ritual. You should not work a ritual based upon just planetary movements. If you choose to, that's your choice. My personal opinion is you should do it when you're passionate, because when you're passionate, it can fall on any time, any day, and that is more fueled and more powerful and have more energy behind it than when you're waiting for a particular day. How do you know that, let's say, the dark moon comes and you ain't feeling like doing shit? So now when you do the ritual, you wait until the dark moon, yeah, we'll do the dark moon, do the dark moon. Here comes the dark moon, and guess what? You ain't feeling shit. And you go through the motions and doing it, and there's no passion, purpose, or intent really behind it. What kind of results do you think you're getting? Exactly, hardly any. So my personal opinion is that you should work it when you feel it, when you're passionate behind something. Me personally, when I do work a lot of necromancy, I happen to work with my peoples right here. I happen to work with my peoples right here. That's who I tend to work with a lot when I deal with necromancy, because I see the power of working with. Let me show y'all a little more what I'm referring to. Baum Semdi. I work with Baum Semdi a lot when I work necromancy. This is Baum Semdi and Mamam Brigitte. So I have a statue of them together. And Marie Laveau, the Queen of Voodoo, or Voodoo, of New Orleans. So I tend to work with them a lot. There's a reason why I work with them. There's a certain connection I have to them. My grandmother didn't only practice Santeria and Palo. She's from Puerto Rico. She also practiced what is known as Puerto Rican Voodoo, which is Sansi. And when you deal with Sansi, you deal with the Gede. And I remember seeing statue similar to this, not exactly this, in her house. So there was an attraction I've had to Baun Samedi for since I was a child. And then when I started really getting into sorcery and did certain rituals, I could have been working with Kali, and out of nowhere, Baun Samedi would appear. And then, of course, I started doing thorough investigation of Baun Samedi, Amarbaji, and all the Gate A. And I connected to it and felt passionate about my connection to them. So I work really strong with these. And you have to find what works best for you when you're working necromancy. Because if you don't, then what happens is that you'll be doing everybody else's sorcery, everybody else's work, and not your own. That's not beneficial for you. Not when you work this. You have to have clear intention, clear purpose, and you have to have some total understanding what it is you're doing. If you don't, you might as well just hang it up. Leave it alone. Because it can backfire on you. It can backfire a lot. And you don't want that. You don't need that. You best believe that. For some that are able to make it to Miami on the last weekend of the month, usually, we have sometimes we do an Egun ceremony. Egun, E-G-G-U-N, in Ifa or Santeria is the dead, the ancestral spirits of the dead. And we utilize that to really work our shit, making contact with the spirits. And we do a drumming ritual with it, which can really open you up to make real clear contact with these spirits. It is important that when you come with a clear mind, clear thoughts, clear pattern, and you are able to really hear. Because what happens when that drum starts to be played, it starts to really work on altering your state of consciousness. When it alters your state of consciousness, it will activate your connection to the death current. And spirits will make communication. It can be ancestral spirits. It can be any kind of spirits. But what happens is that you'll start to hear these spirits. Some will even possess a person. When that happens, there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of insight that a person receives, but you have to be careful, because in those rituals you could also contact a intranquil spirit, which can wreak havoc on you as well. And then the opposite happens. So when you work necromancy, you should be careful that you do not open a gateway to some spirits that are intranquil and can really wreak havoc in your life. You should be prepared for it, and you should know how to deal with it if it happens. For the most part, it usually doesn't happen, but it can happen. A lot of times it happens because you're fucked up within yourself. Your vibration frequency is attracting that fucked up spirit. This is why we always say in our show, Awakening Universal Minds, on TalkShoe.com every first and third Thursday of the month on TalkShoe.com. We always make mention that you should deal with your darkness, deal with your shit, your traumas, your pains, your wounds, your insecurities, your doubts, your sexual hang-ups, whatever the case may be. Work rituals to get deep inside that. Confront it and then master it. Take those weaknesses and make it into a strength. Don't just focus on the strengths and how great and powerful, lovely, sexual, beautiful, lustful, goddess, God you are. Focus on your weaknesses, because you're only as strong as your weaknesses. So if your weaknesses are very strong, then you're a really weak person. You're really a weaker person than you can imagine. Learn how to take those weaknesses and make them into strengths. That is essential so that when you work in necromancy, you don't leave the gateway open through your subconscious mind from your bullshit seeping outward, and death current is seeping into the death current, and these spirits that may be seeking to take advantage of people just like you who are suffering from traumas, issues, and pains, and wounds, and all this that have not been dealt with and healed. That spirit comes in, fucks your life up. So deal with your shit before you get deep into necromancy. Don't just fuck with it because you like how beautiful or how dark it looks and skulls and ooh. No. Don't fuck with shit unless you're really ready for it. Because if you're not really ready for it, it can fucking backfire. So when you work with necromancy, you best believe you should be on some really, really purposeful, intentful shit, and you should have dealt with your bullshit. Some people naturally gravitate to spirits of the dead and naturally can hear this without doing rituals. All I can say to those people is keep cultivating and nourishing your gift, because it is a part of what is your strength and your power. It is a beautiful thing when you're able to communicate with the spirits. Not everybody is able to because of conditioning, programming, religion, culture. It's shunned upon. If you're able to do it, do it. Now let me say this. Baum Samedi. Graveyard deity. Loves rum, especially spicy rum. I brought the statue to the graveyard. Poured spicy rum on the graveyard dirt. Put Baum Samedi in the graveyard dirt. Pour spicy rum over that. Invoke Baum Samedi. And then sat there and waited for communication. Now, communication may not come your first time, second time, third time. Be consistent. However, when I received communication, it made it clear what more I should do and why this is something I enjoy and why it works for me. See, Baum Samedi is an archetype that represents life and death. He is like a crossroad deity of life and death. And one of the aspects of life is sex. Sex is creation. Sex is how we all got here, I hope. Some of y'all might be something else, but anyways. And when you're able to understand sex, the true power of sex, not just for lustful purposes, although that is a great part of it too, because lust is an energy that can be utilized for magic, for power, for growth. Though you may not realize that because it's considered one of the 7 deadly sins according to religion and Catholicism and all that fake bullshit. Now, lust can be utilized because it's passion. It comes with and it gives and fuels such powerful passion. Passion gives you focus. And when you're focused, your intention is quite clear. That passion fuels that intention with so much energy that it makes things manifest. So when I work with Baum Semdi here, I work with him, I'm not working with him because I think Baum Semdi is real. It's a symbol, okay? It's a symbol of life and death. It's a symbol of a master over life and death. It's a symbol of the power of sex. It's a symbol over the power of nonconformity. It's a symbol of being an individual and going against the norm. It's a symbol that when I look at this statue, activates with my subconscious mind that which is already laying dormant within me, now active, that this symbol represents. And so then it makes me take control over my life as a master over my life. Now, I'm not trying to be nobody else's master. I don't want followers. I don't want groupies. None of that shit. I'm a master over my own life, meaning that I work day and night to master my own bullshit. So I master over my life sex, death, what it means to live, what it means to die, what it means to use life to succeed, what it means to use sex for empowerment, what it means to use the death current for empowerment and knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I use these symbols to activate that in me. So essentially, when you see Baum Semdi, you see me. Not that I am Baum Semdi, because it's a metaphor, it's an archetype, it's a symbol of what it represents. But those attributes, those characteristics are alive in me. And then I take ownership over that, responsibility over that, and responsibility for the power that comes from that. And I utilize it accordingly to what I feel is more effective in my life and what is beneficial for my life. Now, you're not always going to get what you want. Most of the time, you're going to get what you need. And you have to understand that when you work sorcery, it's not always going to come out exactly how you want. It comes out the way it's supposed to because that's what's needed. You have to be able to understand that, and you have to be able to have dedication and discipline to go forth and continue past those moments when you don't get exactly what you want. Because you have to see that you're getting what you need, because that is what was necessary and needed for your life at that moment. Nobody else's life, only your life at that moment. That is what is important to be a sorcerer, a black magician, a black adept on the left-hand path. If you understand that, then when you work necromancy, you understand the purpose behind it. If you can't deal with death, then the fear of death can propel you to a delusional mindset, as if you're eternal and immortal and nothing will ever happen to you. No. But when you deal with death, you understand it, and it propels you to understand that while I'm living, I must utilize all my gifts, abilities, and powers for my personal success and how I perceive success is to me. So you work it from that shit. You work your life from that angle and you take mastery over that. When you work with that death current, the spirits of the dead are always looking for a doorway into the living. And you are that vessel that you can utilize their power to bring forth into this life to manifest the things that you work for in your ritual. Some people may ask the spirits for a job, a card. If you work it with true purpose, passion, and intent, it may manifest. But it may not manifest exactly how you want. It's going to manifest how you need. So one of the things that people have to understand when you work with the spirits of the dead, if you work, let's say, for mundane physical things most of the time. Yeah, you'll get that. But if you work necromancy for the purpose of gaining knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the death current, the power of death, the power of darkness, the power of passion and lust, power that fuels and drives these spirits to continue intercessing, interacting with us here in the living, it will expand your consciousness tenfold over. I don't work it just for the purpose of destroying somebody, although if that's necessary, that will be done too. I don't work it for the purpose of, oh, I gotta get a shot of ass, pussy, whatever. Although if I wanted to, I could do that too. I don't work it for, oh, I need a job, this, that, or that. Although if I wanted to, I could do that too. Because a lot of those things I feel that you can do yourself. If you apply yourself, use the power of your mind and your creativity, you can manifest all those things. But when I do work with the spirits of the dead, it is to confront my own bullshit. So I do it to receive communication of my bullshit, obstacles, and things I must overcome. And I may use my familial spirits, my family ancestral spirits, to give me a little push, a little message that can help open up my subconscious mind to reach into that area. Because essentially my ancestors are me and me is them. They are in my DNA, and my DNA runs through them and came from them. So they are with me. They're not always external. My spirits, my ancestral spirits are within me day in, day out. So I utilize this necromancy sorcery for knowledge, wisdom, understanding, middle standing, overstanding, great standing, however you want to stand on. That is my main purpose behind it. Although with it comes intense psychic powers, abilities, the power of death, the power of sex, the power of potential, the power to destroy, kill, whatever. That comes with it too. And you should be responsible enough to handle that power and utilize it with the utmost care of that power. Don't be reckless with your shit. So I gave you a little insight today on one of the aspects of sorcery I work exclusively with. I work with vampiric sorcery because many of the vampiric qualities I've always had within me and still have. I work with the Setian or Sethan sorcery because Set is a reflection of me. I work with vampiric sorcery, necromancy, Setian sorcery, which deals with a lot of Kemetic sorcery. Not the fluffy shit of Kemet, because Kemet was not fluffy. That's what they want you to believe. Kemet has some real dark magic, real dark shit. Okay? I work with a lot of that. I work with sex magic, of course, because there's a power of sex. There's knowledge and wisdom and understanding that comes through sex. And there's much to be learned through sex. So that is the main things I work. So I figured I'd open the doorway to necromancy now. And do a little series on necromancy and share more each video on how to work with necromancy and different insights on how to work with it. Now, if any of y'all have questions on necromancy or how do you do this, what do you do, this, that, the other, you can contact me at darkoccultist99@outlook.com. Once again, that's dark, D-A-R-K, occultist, O-C-C-U-L-T-I-S-T, 99@outlook.com. Or you can like, share, and follow me on Facebook. Sorry, not Facebook. Can't stand social media, so I would not ever have done that. Dark Occultist 99 YouTube or Dark Occultist 99 on my Google Plus page. You can check me out there. Also, on the first and third Thursday of every month, we will have a show on Awakening Universal Minds on TalkShoe.com at 9 p.m. Check us out there as well. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can reach me at those avenues. With that, peace.